Once upon a time, there was a beautiful young girl who married a handsome prince. It was a fairy tale. And part of the fairy tale happened here in Canada. Their marriage began with their honeymoon here. And today, Sarah, the Duchess of York, returns to tell her story. We are honored that she has given us this time to answer the questions that all of us want to ask. And there is incredible insight into this woman's life and into what it is like to live inside Buckingham Palace and to marry into the royal family. A journey of self-discovery. Sarah, the Duchess of York, my story. She is an extraordinary woman. She has been on an extraordinary journey. Ladies and gentlemen, Sarah, the Duchess of York. Does it look familiar? It'll be a very short interview. They'll just applaud for an hour. Thank you. Okay.
It's very nice, that.
Yes.
That was really kind. Thank you.
By some familiar things, you recognize him right away, huh?
I know. Look at this. I haven't
Little
seen him
Budgie.
around. I know. Look, there's Snowy the bear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there he is.
You were at 5,000 feet in a helicopter when the concept of calling him Budgie the Helicopter came to you?
Absolutely, because I was finding it so difficult. I was really getting, he was being a bit difficult that day, and I felt like I was sort of playing, like it was an adventure, and that he was being naughty. So I sort of said, "Come on, Budgie," and suddenly I thought, "Budgie." That's it. That's how it came about.
You talked to the helicopter?
I did actually, Dini. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. So did I.
Did you?
Sure, Thisbe. I don't know where I got Thisbe from.
Thisbe.
Thisbe.
Maybe Thisbe and Budgie should go on an adventure.
Yeah, could be your next book.
I think so.
How many books have you done all told, Sarah, if you look at your story and...
I've got, I did 2 history books. I edited one history book called The Palace of Westminster. That's when I was working in publishing. And then I've got 2 more history books on Queen Victoria and Albert. And then I've got 8 Budgie books, I think. I've got some more in the filing
And in your
cabinet.
spare time?
Yes. And then these children's books, and then that book, and yeah, one or 2 things. I love writing, actually.
You do?
Yes. Yeah.
I know that you love painting, and you're a very fine painter. And there's only one, and one of the things I was disappointed in, there's just the one watercolor of yours in this book, and I thought, oh, it's so beautiful.
Well, I'm really glad, actually, because, I need to practice a bit more. I've had a few lessons, but I need to practice a bit more. So thank you very much for saying that. But
it doesn't mention in here when you started painting. It talks about, I didn't find, have you done this all your life?
No, you're right, Dini. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're right. I started painting when I got separated and sort of went through the pain of what separation was all about and sort of coming to terms with what I'm about. And I guess I started to unleash the sort of more creative side inside me, really.
You had never drawn and painted until then?
No, I hadn't, no.
Then you're very talented. This is very good.
Oh, good.
I've been doing it for a long time, and they're not nearly as good as this.
Thank you.
I told you that I read this book, and I have to be really honest and tell you that it was not in the least what I expected, Sarah.
Really?
The book totally, completely blew me away. I learned so much about my perception of what life in the palace is, my perception of what it would be to be there was so far removed from your story that I read every word and I went, I can't believe this. This is just incredible.
Isn't that funny? What did you expect, do you think, Dini?
I think you want the truth?
Yes, the truth. I like the truth.
Okay,
Let's deal with truth.
All right.
Let's get settled in.
All right. The truth is, one of the things that happened to me last night when I was reading this book is I went, oh, I've sat here on the show with people who do royal gossip.
Oh.
And we have heard all of the stories, and I've sat and laughed. And so has the audience. And what we have been told in our perception of the royal family and what happens is something that we've all sort of bought into.
Yeah.
It's like, what is this family doing? It's like a soap opera.
Yeah.
But the stories that filter down by the time they get here in the show are so far removed from the reality that I felt really awful, Sarah.
Really?
Yeah, because your story and your perception of what happened is a story of power in a royal family that I had no idea about, and the rest of us don't understand. Did you know? Did you have any idea what the royal family was truly like? until you married into it?
Well, no, I didn't, because I didn't really, because when you're not aware, and it sounds so funny, but I was running around being the pleaser, the pleasing everybody, wanting approval, thinking I can do anything, the challenger, you know, and you can do anything. Yeah, literally, in that frame of mind, you can do anything. So when suddenly this wonderful man, and I was craving love, and suddenly this really good-looking, great-looking prince came into my life, but I didn't see him as a prince, I saw him as my man, and I married my man. And then he went to the Navy, and I didn't see him for 42 days a year, except for 42 days a year. And then suddenly you're left with Buckingham Palace and the whole system and everything else, and you get lost, and you lose. I lost. Not everybody does, but I lost my way a big time.
When you were little, did you, like most little girls, dream about marrying a prince when you grew up? I mean, all little girls.
I know.
Did you?
Well, I was just a bit of a tomboy, I think, because I was sort of in my dungarees, and I think I wanted to be an Olympic show jumper. So I was just, you know, ponies and ponies and ponies.
And ponies.
And ponies. Yep.
And because you were not of a royal family, did you have any indication of what it would be like to live in a royal family? The scheduling, you had. I mean, what a surprise!
Well, it's like when you put a horse, you get the horse in from the field, and then you dress it up with its bridle and its saddle, and you do the girth up really tight, and then you put bandages on and tail bandages, rugs and everything else, and you put it in the horse box. You know, it's sort of like, that's what it's like, and then you long.
That's how you felt.
Yes, and you long. You know, Andrew, my husband, always says, I wish you would never use that, because he always thinks it's very funny to think of me as a horse. But in fact, it's sort of like really sums it up. You know, you get all tethered up, and then you want to just go out and be free.
What do you think of Sarah now?
Now, this moment.
This moment, yeah.
I hope I'm not making a complete fool of myself on television, actually.
Is that?
No. Sarah, right this minute, is sort of feeling she's getting better. She's getting better. She feels that this platform that this book has done, it's been like a therapy session. It's been like a huge cathartic experience. Right. It's been 3 months of poor Geoffrey Copeland, who helped me do it. He used to sit down every day and make me go through the pains of perhaps mistakes made, of big denials, of huge, great hurdles in my life in growing up. And I think in coming to terms with growing up, it's a great release. And to be able to sit on your show and talk to the public, perhaps who normally have been told that I'm one way, and now I'm having an opportunity to say, okay, well, if you want to believe that, that's fine, but could you just listen to the fact that I am a human being and I'm here, and would you be kind enough just to listen to my side of the story? And so to have that opportunity makes me feel relieved.
I'm so, I told you before, I really admire your honesty. I really do admire you. I mean, this is your soul is in this book. You have spoken from your heart. Your soul is here, and you've just said, this is what I am. Here's how I perceived it, and this is what happened to me. And that took a lot of courage from my perspective to actually finally make the decision, okay. But was there a moment when you said to yourself, okay, I am going to tell my story?
Well, I never thought I could until Marvin Josephson, this great man, came up to me and said, look, I showed him a bit of writing in my book. I do write things down, but not in diary form because it's too dangerous. But I wrote something down, and it said, I feel like a lifeless bit of coral aimlessly floating around, trying to find what it is I need to find. So I was comparing myself to a dead bit of coral on the sea. And so he said, but hold on a minute, this is really, you should write it down. And then I suddenly thought, a light bulb went off, and I went, okay, well, I'll write it down. And that's what I did, really.
Speaking of light bulbs, is it true that that's how you learned to do the royal wave?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Wait a minute. I have two. They want to know how to do it.
They've all got light bulbs.
Yeah, we thought we could all win it.
Where did you get the screw ones from?
You don't have screw light bulbs in England?
No, I haven't seen these for a long time.
What kind of light bulbs do you have in England? What do you have? You pop them in?
Yeah, pop and, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Canada. So how did you went like this?
Well, yes, I suppose, yes.
Okay,
Gently.
let's see you do it. What do you think?
Yeah, there you go. It's interesting, isn't it?
I don't know. How about you light up my life? Come on, we could keep. That's
Screwing
amazing.
light bulbs, yeah. Because, yeah.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, after we're all screwing the light bulbs, we'll see you with Sarah, the Duchess of York, right after this. the Duchess of York. I was reading about how your philosophy of raising Eugenia and Beatrice as a mother, your philosophy on what you want them to believe about themselves.
Oh yes. Well, I feel very strongly that I'm 37 and I've been on this huge road of learning from mistakes and how to do things. And what I want to do with them, like for example, I want them to teach them to show their emotion, to speak their emotion, and to be themselves because it's okay, you know.
Right.
So like if Eugenie was, we went to a shoe shop and Eugenie, we were in the shoe shop buying the shoes. And we went home and she bought a lovely little pair of shoes and she, you know, that's fine. We got home and a week later I said, you haven't worn your shoes? And she said, no. I said, but, you know, we bought the shoes. And she said, yes, but I didn't like them. And I said, oh, right. And she said, and they're too small. And I said, but why didn't you tell me at the time? You know, why didn't you? Oh, well, because I thought you might be angry with me, Mummy. Ah. Right. So I immediately stopped what I was doing completely. We sat down together. I got on my little chair because I think everything's important to get to their size and not look down on them, to respect them as who they are. And so I sat on my little chair, she sat on hers, and I said, okay, now I just want you to understand that I don't want you to have to go through the mistakes Mummy's made, and here's Mummy now at 37. I want you to learn now at 6 that it's okay to turn to Mummy and say, I don't like those shoes. Say it as it is. Say how you feel, and that I think taught me such a huge lesson. And she now is feeling much better because she's not frightened of speaking her mind.
Eugenie is how you say it correctly.
Yes, it's a soft she.
Ah, Eugenie.
Eugenie.
And Beatrice.
Yeah.
When we go back to your childhood, and your mother was an extraordinary woman. She was a very proper British woman. She was quite amazing, but she had also brought with her her own patterns that we passed down from generation to generation.
That's right, yes.
And hers was, when you were bad, when I criticize you, why don't you just accept it and just apologize?
Yes, yeah, and smile, you know.
And smile.
It's okay, I've told you off, now smile.
So you did?
So I did, because that wouldn't stop her telling me off, you see. It was clever.
So a combination of
a
combination of that and your father's military discipline.
Yeah.
You became the ultimate pleaser, the girl who wanted everybody to like her.
Absolutely, and it's so easy. If you wanted to shout at me now, I'd go, you're absolutely right, Dini. Absolutely, silly old me, I should never have done that.
Even now, Sarah?
No, not now, but as an example. Sorry, I was I was just
we went back.
Example. We went back. No, not now, not now. Not now, no.
Not now.
Not now. But another example, just very quickly, Dini, if I may, was at Hale House in New York. You know, that lovely place, Mother Hale. She was a fantastic lady, and she used to take in children that are left on her doorstep with perhaps with a cocaine addiction at birth and things like that, and she looks after them. It's a great place. Anyway, I love going there every time I go to New York. I visit Hale House, and I remember very, very well. Beatrice was about 4, and we were sitting in a hotel in New York, and in the morning at breakfast she kept looking in the mirror, and I remember saying to her, oh, don't be so vain, stop looking in the mirror. Now, my mother had said that to me because her mother had said that to her.
Right, right.
So and then shortly after that, by chance, I was at Hale House, and the first thing I noticed when I walked in was the mirrors were really little mirrors, really small mirrors. Right. So I turned to Mother Hale and I said, Mother Hale, you know, that's very interesting. Why do you have mirrors like that? And she said, because the most important thing you can do for a child is to give them positive affirmations and tell them they've done well, well done, they look pretty and beautiful. And you know, ever since that day, now, to this day, whenever my children look in the mirror, I say, well done, you look pretty, good for you, keep going. And it totally changed and broke a pattern which my mother and grandmother had followed for a very long time.
Yeah, I was reading a lot of your expressions about yourself when you were younger, and they were not kind. I was full of self-loathing. I thought I was ugly. They were right. I don't belong.
Fat.
I mean, we're talking really low self-esteem here.
Big time, big time.
Huge, yeah, yeah.
And I used to think that I permanently had a huge bottom and permanently huge and fat, and that's why I always wore dungarees. And everyone had said, you're crazy, these dungarees are 3 times too big for you, but I felt comfortable in them.
So we have this girl who has very low self-esteem who meets this handsome prince. And is it chocolate profiteroles? They meet and become friends, and it becomes a wonderful friendship romance.
Yes, it is. It's a great friendship, which has in fact survived all the way through everything, you know.
Is Andrew a soulmate for you?
Yes, he is, definitely a soulmate.
Yeah.
I think you can have a few soulmates.
Right.
But I think he definitely is and will always be. And he's just an extraordinary human being.
He meets this beautiful redhead girl who, of course, doesn't think she is. But anyway, she has low self-esteem, marries the prince, and when he asked you to marry him, you said, of course, well, if you change your mind in the morning, that's okay. And as your father is walking you down the aisle and the world is watching, this really amazed me. Your father turned to you and said,
let the horse take the strain.
Trot on, old girl.
Yes.
And you thought, is he telling me I'm looking like a horse?
I think that's why Andrew gets so cross with him when I say that, because, you know, it's, you know. But that's exactly right. Dad said, let the horse take the strain of this huge, great 17-foot train that I was pulling along up the carpet. And, you know, with the flow of a carpet, you've got to go with it. It was quite it's quite tough to pull it up. But it was, I guess, an interesting time.
When you were walking down the aisle, because it was such a long walk, what was going through your mind, Sarah? Were you just so, did you get into the ceremony and this handsome man, or were you thinking?
I was totally and utterly in love with my man. I mean, you can see it, and then you look through the video. I mean, the girls love it. It's like...
Oh, you watch it?
Oh, yes, yeah. They all the time. Oh yes, it's Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer all the time.
Oh, here we are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. and there we are going along. But he is, you know, imagine he's
gorgeous.
I mean, at the end of the aisle, you've got the perfect, best-looking, most
Prince
wonderful...
Charming.
Yeah, totally. With his sword and his naval uniform. And I was marrying my man. And that's what's so sad for Andrew and I now, is because we were getting married like every other normal person that gets married and are in love. And we didn't realise that by getting married and being in love, we weren't allowed to see each other. We didn't realise that no sooner had we got married than he'd go away and I couldn't go and live with him in naval quarters.
He didn't know this either?
No, absolutely not. No.
What did you both expect? What were you thinking?
Exactly, Dini, but we thought that we could go and live in naval quarters and be the naval couple, and he didn't know that. And so when he said, come on, we're going to Portland to live there, which is fine for me because I've come from a small flat in Clapham, which is a suburb of London. And so I was happy to go to the naval quarters, and I didn't expect anything. And so that's what I agreed to marriage. I thought that was what I was going to do, at least for the first 5 years, to build a strong foundation. And then no sooner we got married, then they said, no, I'm sorry, you stay at Buckingham Palace in the second floor flat, and you go to Portland in Dorset, and you see each other at weekends.
You saw each other, I don't know,
42 days
42 days a year. So you went into this extraordinary, because you have this energy and this ability. Okay, Superwoman in Buckingham Palace. Your schedule, just run through a day, which would start at 6 a.m. That's like staggering.
Well, what it was about, Dini, is that suddenly I thought to myself, oh my gosh, the whole reason for being at Buckingham Palace was my man, and I followed him round like a sort of little, I don't know what, a little doggy. I followed him round because I'd have to learn from him. How on earth was I going to learn how to wave or how to talk to people in public or how to do this, how to do that, unless I followed him? Suddenly he was gone, so I was sort of like a ship without an anchor. Good one, actually. And so I suddenly became even more of the pleaser, because now I needed to win approval, not just from him and his family, but all the courtiers as well.
So you did more engagements than anybody else, got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, appointments every 10, 15 minutes, you changed clothes 3 or 4 times a day, opened, did all this, and then went back to bed and did it every day.
Yes, and went to bed at 2 because I had all the letters to do, because I must write them.
Must write all the notes, handwritten.
Of course, because everybody would then like me more because I'd written a handwritten letter. When no other member of the royal family wrote handwritten letters, they all wrote typewritten letters, then I wrote handwritten letters, they'd like me more. That's the way, so the vicious spiral went on. And yes, I did, you know, get a lot of new friends very quickly because I worked overtime at trying to make them.
I will be the nicest Miss Congeniality in Buckingham Palace.
And I will be the best daughter-in-law, you know, for the Queen and that she's ever had, and I will make her a nice cup of tea, you know, and I'll do everything, you know. Yeah. But then, of course, in the end, reality.
The reality of life in the palace and the reality of the people who control the flow of information and therefore control the power right after this. Thank you. We're talking about helicopters, you know. Yeah. Well, while I'm on that subject, I should tell you something. That there is an International Association of Female Helicopter Pilots.
Oh, good.
And there are to date, there are, let me see what the numbers, the latest numbers, I think it's 1,018 is the newest. Now, that's since the beginning of time on the planet Earth. There are 1,018 women who actually hold helicopter licenses.
And that's it?
That's it.
Hey.
And I'm number 1 to 38, so I've been doing it for a while. And the newest one is 1,018, and that's who she is.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
That's you, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome. They said that to you. We're called the Whirly Girls. I'd like to welcome you to our club.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm really chuffed with this.
And there are no honorary members. You actually have to have your helicopter license, and you do. You've earned it. And this is, when you get a moment, I know you want to handwrite it and send it in.
Oh, I used to do that. Oh, look, great. Okay.
There you go. Great.
Yeah.
Welcome, yeah. Number 1018.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. It's an honor to have you in the club.
Thank you.
One of the things that amazed me, Sarah, about your book and your story is when I read about, and I said when we went to commercial, that in the palace there are people referred to as the gray men. And they are the people who truly run the palace. And they know that if you control the flow of information, you control the power. So if Prince Charles wanted to talk to Princess Anne about working together on a charity, he wouldn't call her directly.
No, exactly. Princess Royal would speak to her private secretary, and then he would speak to the Prince of Wales's private secretary, and then they'd both come up with a to each other's bosses on what they think about the operation. So, in other words, if I came to you and said it a certain way, I could change the way you think about it, but it's just the way I say it to you, isn't it, really?
Of course, you drop a word, you add a word.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's only one tiny word, but it means a huge difference.
The gray men in the palace are people who either inherit the title or have stopped working in the real world and come in and do not do it for the money. They do it for the
prestige
and the power.
Yeah, and the power, but now it's changing slightly. You know, I think when I was there at the very beginning, it was more like that. But there were some very, very, very good people before me. But I think I just hit a lull. I think I hit a lull, and there's some very good people there. I think it would be unfair to generalise, but overall, I think they have a huge amount of power, and they can. You know, it's very easy to suddenly turn around and say, do you know, the Duchess thinks this and the Duchess thinks that, when actually probably haven't said anything at all, but you can certainly sway people's mind by a bit of heavy power. Some
of the most trusted people at the palace have undermined the monarchy itself. And the CEO of this, the grey men, excuse me, are there any grey women or are they all grey men?
No, they're all grey men.
They're all men?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How interesting,
Isn't it interesting?
Yes, the CEO is a Mr. Z.
There is actually a few grey women. A few grey women in waiting and things like that.
Right.
One or two.
How many are there of these people? Are they a couple of, I don't know how many people work at the palace.
I would say about, out of the grey men, about 50. Not so many. Grey men and women, probably up to 50.
So they control the information that comes in, and there's another...
They're really very pleasant when you meet them for the first time. They make you their best friends, and then you tell them a few secrets and bang, suddenly they come back another way.
Of course. Your children, because they are royal children, they are princesses, when they grow up, what influence will they have? Because you say that Prince Philip tried to reorganize it and he couldn't. Could one of the children grow up and marry somebody who became king and they all call them together and say, excuse me, you're all fired? Could they do that?
Yes, I guess they could, yeah, I suppose so, if they wanted to.
But the royal family doesn't truly get the fact that the grey men have all the power they have, or they've been brought up in the system and they're so used to it, it's okay.
Well, the thing is, I can talk about the grey men and talk about that, but I can't really talk about the royal family too much, because then I don't want to betray their trust. But I think that Her Majesty is the top, and I think that Her Majesty's done such a spectacular job for so long that it would be crazy to rock the boat now, just because, you know, to support me publicly would be very, you know, it would be very difficult.
The other thing the other thing I think I learned, Sarah, is that if you're a royal and you're born into this family, you are born with duty, you are raised with a duty, obligation, and an understanding that's very different than the rest of the world. It's Andrew's raised with, never made any money. Well, he made $50,000 a year for a prince. Everything's given to him, but he's raised with duty and honor, and that's his...
And that's it, and he's duty-bound, and you mustn't do this, and you mustn't do that, and keep this, and keep that. So he's brought up really never doing, like usually, getting in touch with your true feelings. You're brought up to us to be duty bound.
Duty bound.
Duty bound, yes. So that you know exactly that one day you've got to go out there and do your stuff, you know. And that's why it's very difficult for somebody like me that was coming from a very good background, but a very normal background in a way.
Well, yeah.
And to walk in and suddenly then having to be in the confines of such very strenuous confines of duty, it was difficult.
Now, do you know Diana, having been raised in royal families, understood the duty-bound concept? So when you came into this, you were like, uh-oh, they don't know what this is, so they have to learn the game and learn to be controlled, and it didn't work for you guys. You wouldn't do it.
Well, exactly. But it's such a tall order to ask. It's a lot to ask anybody to completely and utterly change their entire way of thinking and way of life to be the perfect person out there on the public stage. It's a big time moulding when you're also trying to deal with regular emotions of being in a marriage and also regular life, really.
I found it interesting at one of the points when you were having so much difficulty that you went to Wallis Simpson's grave and put roses on her grave.
I know. Well, I felt very sad actually because when I was walking, I walked around Frogmore and I saw that her grave really looked rather sad in comparison to the rest of the graves there, and it hurt me that they shouldn't have made more of her grave really, because I thought that was just ridiculous. They should have made more of it. So I went and I knew she loved yellow roses, and so I went to put them on the grave. Yeah.
Very misunderstood woman. Did you feel sort of a?
I felt I sort of wanted to know more about her and understand her more, because I think she was very courageous, what she did. What they both did was very courageous.
Did you ever hope that maybe Andrew would leave, that maybe he would say...
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I would never expect...
Why?
Because, do you remember, you're not worthy.
Oh, right, you weren't worthy.
Yeah, hello, yes.
Oh, right, okay, I forgot you weren't worthy.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thought never crossed your mind?
No, don't be a nag, don't be a bore, you're not worthy. Don't ask for anything, don't ask him to leave the Navy, don't say you hate it here, you're finding it difficult, you're finding it depressive. Don't say anything, because that's being a pain and a bore to your husband. And my father always brought me up not to be a bore. An encumbrance is the word, actually.
There's so many amazing parts to the story, truly. I mean, the book was such a revelation, and I found one of the most interesting parts was when you actually decided, okay, that's it. I can't deal with this anymore. I am going to leave. I'm going to save myself and leave. Mm-hmm. People turned to you and said, but, excuse me, you're married. It's your duty. Stay.
Yeah. You can't go, that's it. And then, of course, the brilliant does everything intensely, does it, comes out self-sabotage totally. That was me. So having the duty bound to one point, I then did totally the opposite on the other hand.
How old were you when you married Andrew?
I was a very naive and rather gullible 26-year-old.
I read this book, Sarah, and I have to tell you, I don't know anyone, myself included, and I'm pretty strong, that at age 26 could have gone through this. I mean, the fact that you have done this and come out a survivor, written this book, turned the corner, and gone from low self-esteem to, hey, wait a minute, I am worth it all, is extraordinary. I don't know anyone who could have done that. You must be very proud of yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're going to take a break. We're back with Sarah right after this. Like the colours?
Comforting, yes.
Yeah, it's a nice set.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's sort of homely.
Have you ever thought of being an interviewer?
I'd love to.
You'd be excellent,
Would I?
You would.
Oh, good.
Go
You
ahead.
can give me some lessons.
Anything you want to ask? Or?
Yes, I'd love to know how you felt about going to Romania and what it was like for you to be in Romania.
You've been there too, haven't you?
I have, yes.
I was reading part of that of your book, and I realized that you can't.
But
You know what it did for me? It was like one of the best things I ever did for my soul. I had a moment where you can't be famous, you can't be a celebrity, you can't be anything. You stand there and everything about you that is at least for me, that was false was ripped away, and I found myself with myself, and I discovered I really liked what I found there.
Do you think you found yourself there?
I think I found part of myself there. I think in the journey of self-awareness and finding yourself, which you are obviously on and doing a really fine job, that for me going to Romania was really important. And for you?
Why did you go to Romania? Sorry. You're a very good interviewer. No, I'm really interested.
I went to meet the child that I sponsored.
All right.
And I have him here. I found a family to adopt him. He's been here 2 years now, Dini Petty. 2 years I've been here, Dini Petty. Yeah, he's wonderful. Why did you go?
Because I heard of this place right up, and it was this orphanage right up in the middle of nowhere. And I was so annoyed that nothing had been done about it. And I sort of go places where it's forgotten. Do you know, suddenly everyone goes into Romania and then they go on to the next disaster. Right. So I went there and I went and hunted out this orphanage, and I found it. And I found it at about 1 in the morning in the pouring rain. And it was a sight to behold.
And what did Romania do for you?
I think it's still with me now. I think, well, I write in the book about Noli, but I think it just taught me that there's so much more to life than what we are led to believe. And I think I was so caught up in the British media and the media in general in Great Britain that it taught me to really get to grips with what I've had to do on my journey. And I think it kick-started me into the journey of discovery.
Interesting.
Yeah.
In the book, you know, one of the places for you where it seems to me really turned the corner was in Provence.
Yes.
Where you talk about your fear of the dark. You have an absolute, or had, absolutely overwhelming, complete terror of the dark.
I sat up in bed and slept with my eyes open. I slept with my eyes open because I was so frightened of the dark. I thought if I sleep with my eyes open, I can see any spooks coming towards me. And yet, I realised that, in fact, the fear of the dark was the fear of the demons inside myself and all the treacle and the black treacle, all the fears and anxieties I had to come to terms with inside myself.
And in Provence, one night you sat there in the dark and you got into the treacle and found that you've come through all of this as a survivor.
And I'm still okay.
And you're still okay. Welcome to the light.
Yes, and it's sort of, and it felt like crystal water, and it was just like, and suddenly I realised that it is all right, really. And everything is okay. It's a long way and it's a big battle, but I am here and it is all right.
One of the things I see in your book, there are so many women a lot of women are pleasers. Mm. A lot of us grow up with low self-esteem. A lot of us don't think we're very good. A lot of us marry what we think we should do in life to please other people. And we marry or live with people because we think that's what we should. Yeah, we're really unhappy. Yeah. And then if we get married, we go to leave, they say, you can't leave, you have to stay and be. There's so many women that have gone through that journey. You just happened to do it in Buckingham Palace.
On a public stage.
On the public stage, you know?
Yeah, I know, but you see, typical me, intense, you know, if you're going to do it, you know, big time publicly, you know, great, you know. Well, most people do it quietly, you know, get to grips with their life and discovery, but I don't know,
But you're Sarah Ferguson.
And I do it big time.
Yeah, you're an international celebrity, famous, and that's part of the price you pay of being an international star.
But Dini, I think, and I know, that the place where I'm at right now, which is I'm really peaceful and I'm quite happy to sit here and I'm calm and I love talking to you, I still wouldn't swap what I've learnt over the last 10 years. And I still would go back over it again if I had to, if you really wanted me to.
You'd do it all over again?
Well, to get to this place I'm at now, I would do it again if it meant getting to this place, because I'm getting better. And that's a good place to be.
Yeah, I understand.
But the pain is big time, isn't it? I mean, but I'm glad to be here now.
For me, when I read your story, the part to me that seemed to be the most appalling was the betrayal. You have been betrayed by friends, by people who claim to really like you and be kind to you, by butlers, by friends and charities. Your father did a terrible thing when he wrote and traded off for some thousands of dollars part of his story, and I know you've made up and forgiven, but it was not okay, Dad.
No, not okay, Dad. No.
By men who claimed to help you, who came to rescue you in your worst time, Mr. Steve Bryant and John. And please, terrible betrayal.
I think, but at the time, Dini, perhaps I should have known better, shouldn't I? Perhaps I shouldn't have, you know, because I was...
Yes, and perhaps they shouldn't be so rotten to take advantage of you, Sarah. I mean, yes.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
yep,
Okay.
yep. All right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean...
okay. I'm being too fair, yeah, I know.
People who go out and work with the royals or work with someone like you, when they go out and betray it, God, I hope there is karma. You know,
There mustn't there?
Yes, there is, and they'll have hideous things happen to them, and you can cheer, yes, yes. And I will too. Yeah,
but I think that it has hurt me greatly. I tell you that the recent books has really hurt because they're writing about somebody some time ago who they thought they knew. I mean, I haven't seen these people for about 2-3 years, and they said they're writing about someone, and in the last 2 years I've grown even more, and I grow today, I'll grow tomorrow, I'll learn tomorrow. I'll make mistakes today which I'll learn from for tomorrow, and I'll go on doing it. But why then do they have this right to make, for money, to make money off another person's back when the other person is trying desperately to grow, you know? Do you know what I'm saying? But my daughter summed it up when she said, Mummy, why can't these two people who she knew, why can't they go and write a children's book and make children happy when there's so many unhappy children in the world that make you unhappy? It's not right. Sarah,
what is it about us, and this fascinates me, why is it that people come, and I admitted that I've sat here and I've talked about you, you know, and I apologize. But what is it about people that we do that? Why do we read the tabloids? Why do we want to know the gossip? Why do we tune in to every slimy, smarmy bit? What is it about us as human beings that we go, oh, I want to know that her life is, I don't know, Sarah.
I know. I don't think it's as bad over here, actually, as it is in the UK. I really don't.
Right.
I think people have much more forgiveness here in Canada. Anyway, I love being here in Canada. I've got some good friends up here. And I think people generally have they're much more forgiving.
It's extraordinary, though, isn't it, that the British press, who feed off the royals and everything they do and make so much money out of it, would even consider getting rid of the monarchy. Who would they write about then?
Well, exactly, you see. This is what's so funny about it. They are doing all this damage, but I mean, there'd be really, you know, there'd be a real problem if there was no monarchy to write about. How would they sell their papers?
One day they should send you and Diana a thank you note. Well, that they're in the business of making money, you know? I mean, how many magazines and covers have they sold?
I know. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
I know.
We're going to take a break. We are back with Sarah right after this. Eugenie and Beatrice are back in England. I know you miss you. You flew last weekend. You flew over just to see the kids. Huh?
Absolutely, overnight red eye just to be with them. But they're just great grounders. You know, they get you back down to earth. You know.
How's it going, Mum?
It's good.
Well, we have a little something for you to take to the girls as a reminder of your trip to Canada.
I haven't been shopping. That's great.
Oh well, here you go. It's perfect. Okay, come on, Vern. You can bring it out now. They're all Canadian. It's all Canadian things.
My gosh!
And there's an Inuit Barbie and a little bumblebee. All Canadian.
Yeah.
You know, the girls would love it.
Just look at him.
Why did you have the bumblebee in your wedding gown? You had a wedding gown. Bumblebee, which is Napoleon's, wasn't it?
Well, no, I had it because, look at this. I had it because on my coat of arms that I have from my father, our coat of arms had a bumblebee on it, on a thistle.
Oh, you had a bumblebee, an anchor, and a rose.
That's what was on my wedding dress, yes.
Yeah, the anchor was for
Andrew.
And the rose was for?
And the York rose, the Rose of York.
Oh.
Yes. Very romantic.
Yes, you are.
Did you take the paddle and the canoe from the, you know, because I love Canada from my canoe trip.
What a trip. She wore one of those, what do you call those?
Nets.
Nets.
The beekeeper's nets.
Couldn't eat the food one morning. There were so many black flies in the food. But you did it. You did it.
I think, Dini, I chose the one time when there was really a mass craze of black fly and no wind, so it was just permanent raining black fly. But it's not normally like that here, is it?
No, it isn't normally like that, no. And a lot of people don't go up north when it is like that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Jeff Copland is with us. Jeff has worked with Sarah writing the book. I've been trying to figure out, when you wrote the book, how much of the words are Sarah's and how much of it is yours. Did you?
The power and success of an autobiography, Dini, I think hinges on its ability to speak in the voice of the person whose life is being portrayed. And the great advantage of this book, and what made my job both exciting and easier, not to say the project was easy, but was that her voice just jumps off the page and it jumps off the transcripts of the interviews. And it's a very powerful narrative voice, and I would have been crazy not to use it to the maximum. And that, I think the book, people who know her say the book really does sound like her.
Jeff, give me 3 words to describe the Duchess of York. The first 3 words that come to your mind after knowing her so well.
Honest, spontaneous, generous.
There you go. Thank you. The book is worth reading. The book is astounding, and it does have your voice. And there's some wonderful things in your past that I really want to talk about. There's a wonderful woman called Grummy. Grummy.
Yeah, Grummy.
What an amazing lady.
I know. She was my grandmother, and she was my best friend. She just used to be wonderful. She used to sit there with her tapestry, just sitting there, and she was always steadfast, very consistent, and it was very good for me because I could run round, and she'd just always be there.
You said she had wonderful sayings, Grummy had. The mere fact someone in this world loves you means more than anything else. She said that. Oh, Grummy, it's so beautiful.
It is good, isn't it? And she always said that just remember the Lord has a sense of humour. She thinks that's very important.
Yeah, sometimes it's not very good, is it?
Because she said very firmly, she said, look, you know, if you must be very serious about prayer and about your belief, but do remember also that it's very important to laugh a lot.
In May of 1991, Grummy left, and Sarah wrote, and from that day I was on my own.
And then shortly after, Hector left, and I think they both died quite close to each other, and I felt desperately isolated and alone when they left. I suppose that's why, Dini, I work so hard with people who are isolated, like the people with Lou Gehrig's disease.
This is a very important part of Sarah's life, and something that means a great deal to her, and we'll pick up on that when we come back right after this. We're back with Sarah, the Duchess of York. We've been talking about a couple of things that are very important in Sarah's life, and one is the Motor Neuron Disease Association that she works with, and we had the opportunity to meet Stephen Hawking.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. And this man has had Lou Gehrig's disease. In Canada, I think it's Lou Gehrig's disease. And what happened was I walked in, and there he was, this great man. And I was just astounded. The only muscle he's got left working is this one, yet he's got this powerful brain. And he was sitting in his chair, and I went up and said, how do you do? And he just pressed on, with his one muscle, onto his machine, and he said, I'm sorry, this is an American accent. Because he'd just got this new machine from America he was so proud of. And so that's what he said. And what an incredible person to think that he's trapped in his own mind. His mind is trapped in his body. And he does writes all these brilliant findings and research. What a man. And that shows what a disease it is.
It's extraordinary, though, when you meet some people and you find out at some point in their life they didn't think very much of themselves, and then you read their book and you find out that they climbed Mount Everest. They went in a race across the desert for 26 miles. They've jumped horses. They paint. They write 8 books. It's incredible.
Yes. Who is that person?
She's a rather extraordinary woman, I think.
Thank you.
You tell this wonderful story about having been through so much, being out in the desert, this 26-mile incredible race called the
Qatar endurance marathon.
And the horse stops, and then he gives up.
Well, Gal,
Just about.
Gal, Dini, thank you. Very quickly, Gal was just this incredible horse. I'd only just got to know him. I'd met him 10 minutes before the race, and I jumped on. He had red hair too, and we took off, right? And he'd never run an endurance race before, and we took off into the middle of the desert, nowhere to go. We didn't know where to go. We just followed the flags, and we were about 10 kilometres out from the finish, and Gal stopped. He was so tired. I was tired, and he was just completely exhausted, and he suddenly. He stopped, and his legs hurt. I could feel it, and I said, "Gal, please go on, because no one's believing in me now, and the press don't believe in me, and the country doesn't believe in me. Please believe in me. There is a horse box there at the end who's going to take you home. Home's not that way. Home is the horse box. Please believe in me." And I burst into tears, and I begged him. I said, "You've got to understand. I know I am truthful. There is a horse box there," and he said, "Okay, I'll believe in you." And he went on, and we finished the race,
The Duchess of York. The book is called My Story. This book is worth reading, and you have shared a lot with us today.
Thank you, Dini.
And it's been
Thank
such
you.
a pleasure to meet you.
You've been so great to have me, and you've been such a good person. You're a great person, you are.
Thank you. I really enjoyed this. There are other books of Sarah's that are available in this country. This is the story of her as a child. Sarah, the Duchess of York.